Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and have a lot more fun. I'm your host, Paul Sanneman, founder of Contractor Staffing Source, where we help contractors build great teams. My guest today is Ricky from FieldPulse. So Ricky, what does FieldPulse do?
Yeah, Paul. Hey, thanks for including us, invite to the show. This is really great. Been excited for this. So FieldPulse is a FSM platform, or field service management platform. So if you're a contractor in the trade, you know exactly what that is. Essentially, think of us as like your daily operating system. We run everything operations for the business, from first touch customer all the way through invoicing, getting paid, accounting reconciliation, inventory, estimations, workflows, kind of the whole thing. If you run a trades business, we can help you do a better job.
Now, I have to say, a lot of people claim that, but it doesn't actually do it. They say, "Oh, our system does everything." But what my experience is, a lot of the project manager systems, they're good at one thing, but their CRM isn't any good, or their accounting isn't any good. I mean,
Yep.
they focused on one thing, like maybe jobs, or ongoing job reviews and that kind of stuff, but they sort of put together all this other stuff that isn't really integrated, and it's just an afterthought. Why would you be different?
Yeah, that's a totally fair question. So I think maybe a different way to frame that up is to think about different trades have different needs. So rather than try and think, I want to be everything to everybody, it's what trades can I be really good at? And let's really nail that. So for us, that's HVAC, that's plumbing, that's electrical. Those are our core three. If you are in those businesses and you come to us, there is absolutely no question we will be able to do what you need us to do. Then what we do is we look at, okay, what's close, what's adjacent, what's very similar. And then over the 10 plus years that we've been in business, we've said, great, if I want to do glass insulation, or if I want to do gutters, or if I want to do overhead doors or something like that, what are the kind of next must-have things that I should do to really cater to that audience? And I think that's what's helped us be successful over the years, is that we focused on what we're really good at, and then we've said, okay, what's the next closest thing? Let's get really good at that. What's the next closest thing, et cetera, and just kind of multiply that out. We absolutely do not try to be everything to everyone. That has been a really big focus for us, since inception, and I think what's contributed to the success we've seen over the years.
Because a lot of project management platforms are a little more general. So what you're saying is, if you're going to choose a project management platform, choose one that's specific to your industry, right?
Yeah, I think there's value in having that specificity. I also think there's value in just being honest and candid about your business and saying, where do we have the most need and what is the solution for that? If you're really struggling with invoicing, but you feel like you've got everything else handled, you should probably go find an invoicing solution and not try and bring on a great big giant platform that does everything. So while there are some kind of niche platforms that are really great at very specific subsegments, like say, pool cleaning or something like that, a lot of times you're still going to run into the problem that you alluded to a minute ago, which is maybe they're really good at this, but as the business grows and it has needs that aren't just specific to pool cleaning, there may be things that they need to grow into that platform doesn't have. So I think it really starts with a bit of introspection on the business owner's part to say, what do we really want? And then find the solution that caters most to those specific needs. It may be something niche, it may not be. It really just depends.
Well, now, a lot of these softwares are so old, they don't have APIs in them for everything else, right? And they have to sort of do Rube Goldberg around to try to get to work with something else. How do you know if your software has the correct APIs to integrate with other softwares without a bunch of complications?
Yeah, so simplest way to do that is when you're talking to them, just ask. Just say, hey, I'd like to get access to your docs. I want to see your API docs. If you have anything around them that kind of explains so here, let me back up. So a lot of times when you ask for that, you'll get technical specifications. That's not the same thing, okay? You really need to be able to say, technically, how do I integrate this? But from a business functionality, operational standpoint, what are the things that this actually helps me solve? So think of it as like technical language and think of it as like business operator language. A good platform is going to be able to give you both of those things and say, hey, here are the use cases that you can solve for. And the ones that you like, my technical documentation will tell you how to solve that. So that's kind of step number one. Step number two then is, will they allow you to have a sandbox to do your own testing? That's a big thing too. So documents are one thing. The ability of the technology to do what the documents say often is a completely different thing. So my advice is always get the right docs, and then ask for a sandbox so you can go in and play with it yourself and verify, validate that the things you need it to do and the things it says it can do are one and the same.
Because a lot of complications are like, it'll do job costing, but not really, because the Excel spreadsheets aren't quite right. Or it'll integrate with CRM, but you try to integrate with Salesforce or something and it like is way too complicated. Or it does QuickBooks only, but not another accounting system. So the problem is contractors are not IT guys, right?
That's right.
And they usually don't even have an IT guy. So how could they work with you? How do they, like, if they don't have their own, IT guy, how do they make sure that they're technically on top of it?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think that if they can find someone who can help it, well, let me take a step back. If that's something that they're especially concerned about, the technical capacity of the platform or its ability to kind of be bent and molded into what you want it to be, I would say if that's not your specialty, but that's something that you want to do, you should definitely find someone who understands and speaks that language. I don't recommend trying to go that alone. I don't recommend trying to wing it. And I certainly don't recommend taking a salesperson's word for it, because a lot of times they're going to tell you what you want to hear. I think you really need to, if you're going to go in that and you're serious about it, bring someone along who understands and have them do some of that evaluation for you. There are plenty of people out there who offer services like that. There's people who can find folks for you like that. I'm sure you guys can probably do things like that, but I think that's absolutely the way to handle that and not try and wing it.
Because in my experience, a lot of contractors don't know what they don't know. You know what I mean? Which is hard because they're trying to make technical decisions on which software to use, and they have no clue of what the actual decision entails, right? I'm sure you've seen that. Yeah,
that's true. I think, I kind of go back to the point I made before, which is when you get to the point where you're evaluating software, hopefully by that time, there's been a need in the business you've identified that's led you down that path, right? Generally, when we're talking to, folks who are considering our platform or just considering FSM in general, something's brought them there. It's not that they just stumbled upon us and said, oh, gee, that looks cool, let me talk to you. Like, that does happen, but it's pretty rare. It's usually they're coming in and they're saying, I have this very specific problem. It may be with another platform. They may be on pen and paper. About 30% or so of our business, our new business, comes from folks who are still doing things on pen and paper or, Microsoft Excel or something, who will come in and say, hey, I have this very specific thing. This has been a problem in my business. I need a solution for that. And our job as a good partner, to this potential customer, is to first take the time to really understand, specifically about that problem. What is the hardship, right? It's not like, our guys can't get to jobs on time. Okay, well, that's a problem, but why? And so we need to poke and pry and understand exactly what is the root cause of that thing. And then that's when we can start getting into okay, here's how this will solve that for you. And I would put a little bit of that accountability on the contractor as well to come equipped with that information, but then hold that salesperson accountable and say, I get it. You have all these features. This is great. I love them. They're pretty. They do a lot of great things, but this is the need I have. Show me specifically how you solve this problem, and have them walk you through that and show you that. I think that's one of the reasons our team has been as successful as they have, is because, and I'll sit in on these calls, I'll listen to what they say. They spend the first probably 10 or 15 minutes just letting the contractor explain to them where that hardship is in their business, saying, great, here's how I think I can solve that for you. And if they can't, they will say that. You know what? That's actually something our platform's not great at, but I know who is, and I can get you in touch with them, and you should talk to them. And that's something that we've kind of prided ourselves on over the years, is that we're not going to try and sell you something that isn't going to solve your problem. So, Ricky, do you have 3 simple steps on how to vet a software program for your business? I mean, what questions how do you actually decide whether this is the right platform for me? Yeah, so I'm gonna do my best to give you 3. Okay. I think if you use online services that do ratings and rankings and G2, things like that, that's social proof. Folks will go there if there are problems, and many folks go there that it does really well. So you generally will get a pretty good spread of opinions about specific solutions. And what I like about a lot of those services is that they break things down categorically. So you're not just getting like one score that says, hey, it's a 9 out of 10. Okay, but why? And is there anything in that 9 that's a 1 that everything else is masking and I don't know? So I think using like a service like a G2 or something like that's a really good idea. The second thing I would say is a lot of contractors, they operate in circles. Go find someone in your circle that you trust and ask them what they're using. Ask them how they found it. Ask them what they like about it. But more importantly, ask them what doesn't work for them. Ask them where they've run into friction, where they've run into problems. And again, it's that social proof that'll really help. And then the last thing I would say is narrow the field, have a few options. Once you've got it narrowed down and you get that salesperson or that BDR, whomever it is you're talking to, you get them on the phone, come equipped with exactly what you're trying to solve and hold that person accountable for giving you specific answers on how to solve that problem. If they can't tell you with specificity how to solve that problem, then it is probably not the right solution for you.
Okay. Now, if people want it sounds like a good solution. If people are interested in whether, FieldPulse is the right decision for them or they have something they're not happy with, how do they get in touch with you? How do they pursue it and find out if it needs to be a better alternative than what they've got?
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple. Just go to fieldpulse.com. We've got a form they can fill out. Someone will contact them generally within an hour, if not sooner. And they'll start kind of going through that process a little bit to sort of understand the business. And we do that before we even have them talk to a salesperson because we don't want to waste their time. You work in this space, so the one thing every contractor can agree on is that they don't want their time wasted because that's how they make their money. So we try to spend just enough time with them to understand, are we a potential fit? Can we solve that need for you? And if so, we will get you in touch with someone who can do a deeper dive. And if not, then we'll tell you straight up like, hey, this is probably not a great solution for you, but here are some alternatives that you should check out in the meantime.
Well, so the good news is the first person you talk to isn't a salesperson, right, Ricky?
That's correct. Yep.
I like that model. A person who's going to try to understand the problem and decide if you can talk to a salesperson. That's actually pretty unique in software. I appreciate that because a lot of people, the first person you talk to, a salesperson who's based on commission, whose whole agenda is to get you to buy the stuff, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I've worked in software a long time, and I think the worry, I understand why they do it, but I think the worry is that if I don't try to sell you something now, I may never get a chance to do it again. And there is merit to that, right? But I think that it's better to start that relationship out in a positive way and really start to build some rapport with the contractor and start to understand their business before you even want to get into selling them something. These guys can smell it a mile away, right? You're not going to pull the wool over their eyes. So when you get them in, it's better to just start speaking their language, understand their problems, and then just be very candid with them. I think they really appreciate that.
I agree. Well, Ricky, this is a great process because it's different than most software companies I've talked to. So if you're not happy with your software and you want to find out some alternatives, call FieldPulse, and the first person you talk to isn't going to be a salesman. That's awesome.
That's right.
Ricky, thank you for being here. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Paul. I appreciate it.